Right then, hello everyone. I'm back. I've been gone for a while. Episode 2 of my camera collection was originally supposed to be about the Leica 1, and that video was supposed to come out quite some time ago, but it never did because I was busy and I wasn't at home, and I'm at home now, and I've got a cold at the minute, which doesn't really help. Anyway, as I was saying, episode 2 is going to be about the Leica C1, and then I sort of realised that I don't have many digitized photos from that camera, which is kind of defeats the point of a camera video. It would be to show you what the footage from the camera looks like. So instead, we're going to look at a camera that isn't impressive really in any notable way, but well, let's just say it's probably the most important camera purchase that I've ever made. And of course, we're going to be talking about the Canon 700D. The 700D came out originally in 2013, and it was the follow-up camera to the 650D, which was sort of, very much almost enthusiast level camera at the time. The camera sits at an average 18 point something megapixels, I think, and it's on an APS-C size sensor, which is very standard for lower end Canon cameras. And I suppose it performs like a average camera from 2013 would perform, which is like pretty alright. It's it's decent for stills, alright for video. I made lots of videos on this camera, lots of short films on this camera, and I think that I think it did the job at the time. Yeah, I just there are certain things that I wouldn't do with this camera, which is push it beyond a certain ISO boundary. I'd say any higher than 400 is basically a no-go. The noise at ISO 800 is still pretty bad. Yeah, I'll play some clips. I assume I'll play some clips, and probably put some of the better pictures up that I've taken with the camera, the time that I've had it. But I'd say this camera was probably the perfect starter camera in terms of price to what you could do with it ratio, And of course at the time I didn't care. I had a camera that did video, took pictures. I could just push my passion and just keep going for it, and that's all I really needed it for. Of course, in my script I've written that the output of this camera is just sort of meh. I think that's probably still true, but this camera's charming, and I think sometimes the charm can just outweigh the negatives of the whole experience. So now, obviously, as much as I loved taking pictures with this camera, I'll make sure to put lots of example photos in the video. This camera was more important for video, in my opinion, and the video output is what I would describe as unrefined, as in Canon compresses the ever-loving shit out of their files, and that H.264, the files are very small, but apart from that, it's not really worth using that codec for any proper work. I made something like maybe 100 videos with the 700D, most of which will never see the light of day, because they're bad. It got the job done. I made, lots of my favourite YouTube videos on the camera. We're talking Photography the Movie 1 and 2, basically every vlog I did apart from Photography 3, Retro Ornament, It Was Only Once. This camera was sort of the baseline for what I needed in order to just get better at the craft. I clearly had faith in the camera's ability to capture, images that were good enough for YouTube, especially, and Overall, I'd say the camera never really let me down. It was reliable, and that's what I needed it for. And I retired the 700D. Oh, must have been in 2018 or 2019 sometime when I got the 1DX, right? Now, the 1DX is basically the counter opposite to the 700D, in that it's fast, the video is amazing, the pictures look great, and it's just a superior camera in every way. But then again, it's also 3 years newer, and 17 times more expensive. I don't know, that's probably an exaggeration, but it's expensive. Now I'm here in 2021. I've experienced another heartbreak, and I've not been the happiest person, and sort of revisiting this camera has, it's given me something to do, and it actually, enabled me to discover that this camera has more potential than I initially thought. Now, what if I told you that the talking stuff has all been filmed on the 700D from 2013? Yeah, you might be surprised, or you might not be. I don't know. But of course, there is a thing that exists out there called Magic Lantern software. And what Magic Lantern does is it takes older cameras and gives them certain features that Canon didn't want them to have because it doesn't fit their agenda, basically. Now, obviously, Blackmagic don't make any money from what they do, and they've also, they've vowed not to go near the 1D series of cameras or any Canon cinema line of cameras, not only to just avoid the lawsuit, but also to keep Canon happy. And I appreciate that. But what they've done for older cameras is pretty amazing. So the 700D here is now capable of raw video at 14-bit. 14-bit. That's insane. We're talking, we're talking almost twice as many bits as in the standard codec, right? From the same sensor. That's just insane. And it looks so much better because it's not wrapped in Canon's horrid H.264 codec. It's wrapped in a lovely MLV codec, which is MLV? Oh, I don't remember what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen. It's wrapped in Magic Lantern's RAW codec, and you can import that into the Magic Lantern software, which will then convert that to basically anything you want. You can convert it to ProRes 444, or you could convert it to Cinema DNG, which obviously gives you the best output. It's insane to me, and it also unlocks different record aspect ratios, which is interesting. So obviously I've recorded all this bit in 3:2. That's why it looks a bit strange. I apologise. But most of the rest of the clips in this video are recorded in 2.39:1 aspect, which is cinema wide, and that's at 14-bit. And it all looks pretty great. It's all very, very nice compared to what it used to be. And it's given me motivation now to actually start using this camera again, because I feel comfortable enough to actually to get nice shots, to get quality that's something closer to what I would like. I think that's pretty magical. So thanks Magic Lantern for existing. I'll show you clips of all the raw footage that I've been collecting over time. If you want more details about this camera, I can always do that right at the end, so just wait for that. But yeah, here are the clips. If you want more details about the 700D, it has an ISO range from 100 to 6400, but of course I've said I will never go above 800 if I can avoid it, because the noise just just isn't worth it, honestly. And a lot of that's to do with the size of the sensor, but it's also just, you know, the processor inside the camera itself, which is an older Digic processor. I don't know which one. You know, it just doesn't perform too well. There's not really much else to say. It's got a built-in flash, takes SD cards. That's basically it. So I'm going to try and wrap up this video now. Thank you for watching, if you have managed to stick around for the whole thing. I know sometimes that me talking's probably not that I'm going to try and wrap up the video now. I know that me talking for so long is probably not the most interesting thing in the world, but, you know, I feel like it's important that people know that, you know, if they're doing professional work, then you need to spend professional money. But if you are just an enthusiast for video or photo, don't be afraid to shop old. You know, because my favourite stills camera is still the 5D from 2005. And, you know, at the end of the day, you can get amazing video out of some of these older cameras. A 5D Mark II will set you back maybe £500 at a guess. But you can put Magic Lantern on that camera and you can unlock raw capabilities on a camera that is pretty cheap. And I think that's amazing. And I think that people should not underestimate older cameras and what they can actually do. So this video is probably too long already. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. It feels nice to be making videos, even if, you know, I'm not really having the best time at the minute. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep myself distracted. Yeah. See you around.